Hello students, welcome back to the channel. So in this video we are going to solve the multiple choice questions for extended students May-June 2023. So question number 1 says that there are two forces, one 3 Newton and 4 Newton, that act at right angles to each other as shown in the figure. We have to find the resultant force. So we know that if there are two forces acting at right angles, let's say this is 4 Newton and this is 3 Newton as given in the question, and if we complete this parallelogram, so if we use the parallelogram law of vector addition, we know that the diagonal represents the resultant, and we can find this resultant. If this is O, we can find the resultant as square root of both the vectors squared and added. So this gives me 9 plus 16, which gives me root 25, that is 5 newtons. And because this is along this diagonal, which is OY, so the answer is 5 Newton along OY. Question number 2 says a light ball is held at rest at the top of the cliff. So it is released and falls through the air, eventually reaching its terminal velocity. So when it reaches terminal velocity, that means terminal velocity is a constant velocity. That means the final acceleration of the ball is 0. Why? Because it is now moving with constant velocity. But earlier, when it was just held from rest, it would have an acceleration which is equal to the acceleration of free fall, which is g. So the initial is g and the final should be 0. So g and 0 is option number C. Question number 3 says the graph represents the motion of a car. So we can say it clearly, it is a speed time graph. So how far has the car moved between 0 and 5 seconds? So how far, that means we have to find the distance traveled. And we know that the distance traveled can be calculated from the speed time graph by calculating the area under the graph. Area under this line basically, which we can clearly see is this area of this particular triangle. That is half into base into height. So I can write it as half. So base is this much from 0 to 5, that is 5, and height is this much. This is my height, which is equal to 10. So if I solve it, it gives me 25 meters. The correct option is C. Question number 4. Question 4 says which statement about mass or weight is not correct? So masses can be compared using a balance. Yes, masses and weights both can be compared using a balance. So A and C both are correct. Weight is a force. Yes. Mass is a force? No. Mass is the amount of matter in an object. So they are asking which is not correct. So B is not correct because mass is not a force. Mass is the amount of matter in an object. Question number 5 says we have a sphere P made of steel which has a weight of 10 Newton on Earth. Another sphere Q, also made of steel, has a weight 10 Newton on mass. So the planets are different. Weights are same, but the planets are different. The gravitational field strength on Earth is greater than the gravitational field strength on Mars. So which statement is correct? So because the gravitational field strengths are different on Earth and Mars, the masses cannot be same. So this is wrong. The mass of sphere P is less than the mass of sphere Q. Yes, mass would have been less because its gravitational field strength is more. So the correct option is B. Question number 6 says which two quantities must be known to determine the density? So density we know is equal to mass upon volume. So mass and volume we need to know to find density. So the correct option is B. Question number 7. A truck is towing a car along a straight horizontal road at a constant speed. So now the rope breaks. So which rope gives the direction of the initial acceleration of the truck? So even if the rope breaks, the truck will accelerate towards the right. Why? Because its driving force is more than any resistive force acting on the truck. So my correct option should be that the direction of the acceleration is towards the right because the driving force is more. Right? Because the mass of the truck is more, so it is driving force is more. So driving force is towards the right, so it will accelerate towards the right only. So the correct option is C. 8th, a uniform beam is pivoted at the center and the two identical masses x and y are placed so that the beam balances. So earlier there were only two masses x and y and the beam was balanced. Now one more mass, a smaller mass, is then added here. So we have to mention how can the masses have to be repositioned so that the beam balances again. Obviously when you are putting one more mass here, the beam will get disbalanced. Now because there is more moment of force created this side, So we need to balance, we have to make some arrangements in on this side only. So because the moment has increased, now we have need to decrease that moment, so we can decrease the distance of the distance of the mass x. So how will we decrease if distance from the pivot? We can move it towards the pivot to balance the beam. So move x towards the pivot. The correct option is B. Question number 9. We have the resultant force of 2 Newton acting on an object of mass 3 kg for 6 seconds. So let us write what all we have. We have force of 2 Newtons, or we can say it's 2.0 Newtons. We have force of 0.2 Newtons. We have mass of the object as 3.0 kgs, and we have time as 6 seconds. You have to find the change in velocity. So if I have used the Newton's second law, mv minus u by t. So what I have to find is the change in velocity, that is v minus u. So v minus u is equals to ft over m. If we just put in the values, we get f is 2, time is 6, and mass is 3. And if I solve it, I get it as 4 Newton. Sorry, it's speed, change in speed, so it's meter per second. So the correct option is 4 meter per second, option C. Question number 10. The diagram shows the energy stores for a mobile or cell phone and how the energy is transferred between stores. So it's given chemical energy. We have a question mark here. We need to write the value. What is the correct answer for this? So chemical energy converts to which energy? Which further converts to internal energy, kinetic energy, and further to heating and sound. So what describes how the chemical energy is transferred? So obviously the chemical energy will get transferred to electrical work done. So the correct option is A. Now next is a wind turbine is 30% efficient and has an output of 2.5 megawatt of electrical power. What is the output? So if we use the formula for efficiency, I know that efficiency is equals to, I'm writing it here, efficiency is equals to total output upon input into 100. So efficiency is already given, which is 30. Output is given 2.5. Input I have to find, so I'm just writing it as I into 100. So if I just solve it, I get I is equals to 2.5 over 30 into 100. So if I just solve it, it gives me 2.5 into 10 is 25 over 3, which gives me 8.3 megawatt. So the correct option is B. Question number 12 says, which two physical quantities must be used to calculate the power developed by a student running up a flight of steps? So we know power is work done upon time, or we can also call it change in energy upon time. So force, we don't need any force, so option A and B cannot be the answers. Work done and the vertical height, we don't need height, we only need work done in time, because power is work done upon time. So we need work done in time. So the correct option is D. Question number 13. The density of seawater is 1030 kg per meter cube. The gravitational field strength is given 9.8 Newton per kg. Atmospheric pressure is given. Now, what we have to do, at which depth in seawater is the total pressure due to the atmosphere and the water equal to this much? They're saying the total pressure. So what will be the total pressure equal to? It will be equal to the atmospheric pressure. Let me write it as PA. And it will be pressure due to the water. And pressure due to the water we know is rho GH, right? Total pressure. Now they have already given this total pressure, which is 513.123 zeros. Atmospheric pressure is also given, which is 101,000 plus rho. Rho is the density, which is 1030. G is 9.8 and height we need to find. So if I just simplify this equation, I get 513,000 minus 101000 is equals to, let me calculate it and write it down quickly. So if we say subtract 513 minus 101000, it gives me 412000, and if I multiply this 1030 into 9.8, it gives me 10094H. 10094H. So I have to calculate H. I have to divide both of them, and after dividing both of them, which is 412000 divided by 10094, 94. It gives me 40.81. 40.81, which is option A. So the correct option for question number 13 is A. Question number 14 says, four students describe the phrase absolute zero. So absolute zero we know is the lowest possible temperature. So option A is the correct answer. Question number 15 says, four students are asked to state and explain the relative magnitudes of the thermal expansion of solids and gases. So we know that solids expand less as compared to gases. Why? Because of the arrangement of the molecules. In solids, the molecules are tightly packed. The intermolecular forces are very strong as compared to gases where the intermolecular forces are very weak. So option C and D cannot be the answers for sure, because this is solids expand more. Even if I read this much, these options go wrong because solids expand less. So gases expand more. Let's see the reasons. Because the molecules are in random motion? No, it's not about the motion of the particles, rather it is about the intermolecular forces. So gases expand more than solids because the attractive forces between molecules are much weaker in gases. So the correct option is B. Question number 16. Four cups A, B, C and D contain hot coffee. Which cup keeps the coffee warm for the longest time? So obviously the one which is covered with a lid so that no heat escapes out from the top, and obviously the one which has an outer surface covered painted as white. So the correct option is C. The diagram shows a wave. We have to tell which is the amplitude and what is the wavelength. So amplitude is the maximum height, which is this, which is 3 centimeters, and wavelength is the length of one wave. So one wave is basically, I always say, it's 4 parts. So 1, 2, 3 and 4. So this is the wavelength, which is 8 centimeter. So 3 and 8 is the correct answer. So correct option is B. Optical fibers are used to transmit digital signals using infrared radiation. The average refractive index means the value of n is given. Which row describes a digital signal? So there are two types of signals. One we have a digital signal and one we have is the analog signal. So analog signal have continuous range of values, whereas a digital signal has only two values, which is 0 and 1. 0 is the minimum and 1 is the maximum. So obviously C and D cannot be the answers because they are describing the analog signals. Digital signal is the one which has only two values, 0 and 1, as I said. Now we have to find the speed of infrared radiation in the fibers. So if we use the formula for refractive index, the formula says n is equals to speed in vacuum over speed in medium. So in this case the medium is fiber, so I'll write fiber. So if I just calculate it, so speed in fiber I can calculate as speed in fiber is equals to speed in vacuum, that is 3 into 10 to the power 8. The speed of light in vacuum is 3 into 10 to the power 8 upon n, which is 1.5. So if I simply solve it, it gives me 0.5, 1 over 0.5 is 2. So it gives me 2 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second. So that means the correct option is A. Question number 19, monochromatic light. So monochromatic light is basically a light which has a single frequency. The correct option is A. Question number 20, a beam of light consists of yellow and blue light. The beam of light is incident on a glass prism. So when the light is incident on a glass prism, it's split into its constituent colors. Now how it will split? So if we see the spectrum, it is like whip gear starting from the bottom. So yellow should be on the top as compared to blue. So yellow and blue and yellow cannot be the options. The option is either A and D. A cannot be the option because they are going up. After refraction it will go down. So the correct option is D.